Wall Street Sports Podcast featuring special guest Dom Connolly. What's going on, man?
So, nothing
So,
much here.
you're good. So today we're going to talk about mostly football, a little bit of basketball, baseball, and a little bit of hockey. So first, we're going to start off with football, talking about the off season that's coming up very soon. It's right around the corner. What are you looking forward to with free agency, and all that?
I feel like the Broncos just their offense was like really bad this season.
Hmm.
I watched the Patriots game for on Christmas Eve, and that was just horrible.
Hmm.
They just cannot like move the ball down the field. It's just like three and done, like over and over again. They just cannot. So I feel like we need some kind of offensive explosion. Like we need some kind of breakout player that can like make our team actually like do something on the field and just not look so weak. Like I had so much high hopes for this team when Russell Wilson came in, and it's just like way under my expectations.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought Russell Wilson, he didn't play the best his first year, but then getting
Mhm.
Sean Payton, a coach that's used to play like producing good quarterbacks, the way he just played, it's like that stretch you guys had where you guys won a lot of games and looked like you could make the playoffs. That's probably
Yeah,
the best Russell Wilson look. But overall, other than that, it was like it was tough for Russell Wilson because like he just there were sometimes he looked really good, and then sometimes he looked really, really bad. So
yeah. I feel like Peyton really helped out. He's a really good coach, so I like him staying on our team. And I like Russell Wilson too. I feel like he could get us somewhere, but that whole thing with the benching him at the end of the season is just not a good look.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. And what do you think you guys will do? You think you guys will sign a quarterback, or you think you guys will draft one in the draft?
see, I don't know. I heard some people were saying they were thinking that our backup, who's Jared Stidham, they said that they want him to be our starting quarterback, and I don't know about that one. I mean, he did pretty well, so maybe, but I don't know. I think maybe we should try drafting another quarterback.
Yeah, because I feel like your team it's still like intact, and I feel like having not the vet like Stidham's good, but he's a manageable backup. And I feel like in this type of offense, to for you to contend, especially in the AFC West, you need a good quarterback just so they can win you games. They don't have to be the best; they just have to be able to make plays when the time is needed.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I think Yeah, I think just drafting a quarterback would be the way to go.
hmm is there any quarterback in particular that you think the Broncos should draft?
I mean, they got the 12th pick, so depends on everybody else's pick, but I don't know, maybe like I don't know that much college, but I like Bo Nix. I mean, Caleb Williams would be cool too.
hmm I honestly thought you guys like when you had that stretch where you're like 1-5. I almost thought you guys were gonna tank, just like bench Wilson and draft him. But it's like at the same time, it's not like Caleb Williams is the only good quarterback in this class. You got guys like Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, you got Drake May, you got a bunch of guys in this draft that will be very serviceable.
Yeah, I did hear that there was a lot of like quarterbacks like that are eligible for this draft, and they look pretty good. So I have high hopes for our quarterback room. We've
Yeah.
had that struggle since Super Bowl 50, so
Hmm.
about
Yeah,
time we get at least somewhere.
definitely. It's been like that for like because I can remember I was watching it. The Peyton Manning retire went off, and then everybody had the Broncos still one of the top teams, and then it's just
Yeah,
been like up and down ever since. So definitely.
immediately. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
Hmm. And then for free agency, what players are you looking at that you think the Broncos should sign in your opinion?
Oof, I'm not sure about that one. I don't. What's going on in free agency right now? I don't really know.
this period right now is where all the players are getting franchise tagged so they can sign these extension with their teams, or they're declining these franchise tags and going into free agency.
There's that one edge rusher on the Vikings that I
Yeah,
heard he might have.
yeah, Danielle
I
Hunter.
Yeah, that they were saying like the Broncos might sign him. I thought that might be an interesting signing.
Hmm.
So maybe him.
Yeah, because like I remember you got signed Randy Gregory a couple years ago to have like a big edge rushing help. You paid him a lot of money, and it ended up not working out. But I feel like Daniil Hunter, he's gonna leave obviously because he's been asking for a trade for years, been asking for more money, and I feel like
Yeah,
he's gonna just go to a team, which it could be the Broncos, that like will have him in the right position because you haven't had that dominant guy since Von Miller left, pretty much.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because I mean, that should be our tagline: like paying people really like a lot of money and then having them not perform well. Because
Yeah.
that's just it happens with everyone we sign. It's just we
Hmm.
just gotta get some luck somewhere in picking somebody.
Yeah, definitely. And then I know this has been an infamous question throughout the all season. Do you think Patrick Surtain is a Denver Bronco at the start of next season?
I really hope so.
Because I
I
yeah,
actually had a franchise I was playing on Madden, and both Justin Simmons and Pat Surtain went to the Chiefs in a span of like 5 years.
jeez,
So I really hope they both stay Broncos. I feel like he definitely loves our city, and he is an amazing cornerback. So
yeah.
he should definitely stay here. Yeah.
Because he's like the core piece of your defense. He's the young guy. Justin Simmons, I think, is like the leader, but he's that franchise piece. Like he's the person you want to build the defense around because you already have some young guys on the edge with like Byron Young or like Byron something. I think it's Byron Young, and then you got a bunch of other guys that Bryce Cooper. That's his name. You got guys to like build around that are still young and could develop into something because the Broncos, even though they haven't been the best quarterbacks, they've always had good defenses year after year.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, but then let's look forward. Let's just look at the AFC as a whole. Do you think anybody will be able to stop the Chiefs at this point? Because they've been on such a dominant force right now.
That's a tough one. I mean, maybe the Ravens can get back to like how they were this season because I feel like they had a really dominant run and they looked amazing until they played the Chiefs in the playoffs. That was
Yeah,
yeah, they looked really good. And
because they're no, go
I
ahead, go
feel like
ahead.
Zay Flowers. I feel like Zay Flowers is a pretty good like
Yeah.
wide receiver. So I feel like they have some potential with him. And yeah, I mean, I basically just feel like the Ravens can
Yeah.
just basically yeah.
Because I think if you think about it, the Ravens, their defense was good all year. It was even good in the AFC Championship game. They only held Mahomes to like 17 points, which is pretty good. And
Mhm.
then the offense was good. They finally got targets for Lamar and Zay Flowers, OBJ, Nelson Aguilar. They all made their respective differences in them getting to there. But I honestly think if Joe Burrow can come back healthy next year for the Bengals, they have T. Higgins back, and I think they should drop Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia. That would be a good offense right there. I feel
Yeah.
like you've seen Burrow fully healthy. He's been able to go into Arrowhead in the playoffs and win because he did it his first year of the playoffs when they went on that magical run, and he almost did it again the next year. So,
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good quarterback, and it's a shame he got injured because, like, yeah, he could definitely lead a run, and he could definitely conquer Mahomes.
hmm
So, yeah, I would like to see that. That would be pretty good.
hmm definitely. And then moving over to the NFC side, like what teams do you think can like? Because it's like it feels like these past couple of years, it's been the Niners and Eagles as like the top two dogs, but now the Lions are getting into it. The other teams like the Bucks, if they get Baker Mayfield back, who had a phenomenal season, and they re-sign
Mhm.
Mike Evans, you always got the Cowboys, but they always end up choking in the playoffs. So we all know that. But they always contend during the regular season. You got the NFC; they're still not. as good as the AFC, but they have these teams starting to come up and like pretty much finding their place and where they belong in the NFC as a whole.
I think this might be a crazy one, but I think I really like Jordan Love and the Packers. I
Hmm.
feel like they definitely have potential and they could get somewhere in the playoffs.
Yeah,
So I feel like him, maybe even Baker could like get a nice little run with the Bucks. Um, Eagles, I don't know about next season.
yeah,
That was really sad ending to the season.
yeah,
So I
definitely.
mean, I hope they can like get back. I still want the Eagles to succeed.
Yeah,
But yeah, I also really want the Lions to come back. I heard Dan Campbell was saying this was our one shot at getting it.
yeah,
But I feel like they could still come back next year and be just as dominant. And I really
yeah.
hope they are.
because they were able to find that like when they drafted Jameer Gibbs last year after signing David Montgomery, I was like, what are they thinking? And then they ended up trading DeAndre Swift to the Eagles, and that might have been the best running back tandem I've ever seen because it was so good. The story of the Lions this year is how much of an impact their rookies were able to make. You had Jameer Gibbs make a huge impact, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell. You had and Aiden Hutchinson, who was a first round pick the year before. All these young guys are making impacts, and all Jared Goff has to do is play game managing football, and they will succeed. And you saw it. They were dominating the Niners in the NFC Championship. It's just
They were.
they, they started getting off the philosophy they usually ran throughout the season. And going forward on fourth down, I don't think it's you got to take risks. But Dan Campbell, he takes too much risk, which cost him because they take a couple field goals there, they might win the game.
Yeah. Campbell loves he loves taking risks and I feel like that really killed their playoffs. But
Yeah,
yeah, you're right about all the new guys and the rookies and they, they really just worked well together and the team just looked really good. I was surprised because like they came up out of nowhere. Usually the Lions were always like that team that wasn't that good, and then boom, they made it to the playoffs and they like went pretty far. I mean, they were facing the 49ers and they still put up a pretty good fight. It's just
yeah.
they just could not get it done with the going for it on fourth down and not kicking. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, I also don't I'm not as bad as at Dan Campbell because that's what got them to that. Him being having that mentality of being so risky and doing all these things got them to where they were in the NFC Championship because he's the right coach for that team. He knows how to control those players and he's a players coach type of guy. And without him, I think they're still a good team, but he really helps the culture of that team and is going to continue to build year after year, especially once Goff leaves. If they can get a young quarterback in here in the draft or trade for one, the Lions are going to be a threat for years.
Yeah, they definitely are. And
Hmm.
yeah, I agree with you on that one. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. So they had a system going all season and their luck ran out in the playoffs. But
Hmm.
I feel like they can definitely get back in the same spot next year and they can get further.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's one more subject I want to talk to you about football with. So I don't know if you saw the reports today. Justin Fields, if he were to get traded, it's very likely now that it's going to be the Falcons. One, do you think that's the right decision for the Bears? And two, how do you think if he were to get traded, how do you think he would fit with the Falcons, and how much would it succeed for them?
Whew. I feel like I really think he should stay in Chicago.
Hmm.
I like him on the Bears, but I mean, if he really was to be traded to the Falcons, I mean, maybe he could get something started there because they looked really weak this season. Really, I mean, they weren't really getting anywhere. Um, so I feel like I guess he could be a good fit for them, but I also think it could like tank his career because the Bears used to be horrible, and he's kind of bringing some kind of life back into the team. And I feel like if he got traded now, it's like he's taken all that spirit and chemistry away. And now both teams aren't going to be that good because Falcons aren't a good team right now. And if he came there, he wouldn't really have much like room to perform.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if I'm the Bears, I'm either I'm not I like Caleb Williams is not the worst idea in the world, but you saw how well he did with DJ Moore. You take that opportunity and go draft Marvin Harrison. Because if that's the case, and he pans out, then you have your franchise QB, and you actually get to give Fields a chance to see if he's a good quarterback. Because you get one of probably the best college receivers I've seen in years. He's amazing, Marvin Harrison. DJ Moore's good. You got Cole Kmet. I think they could honestly go get Austin Eckler in free agency this year, which would be huge for them. And then they build that offensive line. That gives Fields a good chance of contending, and they already built the core of that defense. And if they re-sign Jalen Johnson, they could honestly win the NFC North next year.
Yeah, I mean, they're at like a turning point right now that I feel like they're just about to be able to be good. And trading him would be a really like dumb decision because I feel like they should definitely stay with him, build around him, and give him a chance to like express his talent and like show it on the field.
Yeah, definitely. And then one more thing with the Falcons, I feel like that would be the right team for Fields to go because they have young players around there with Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. But if I'm the Falcons, I would go try to go get a Kirk Cousins type of guy, get a veteran QB in there, see how he can mesh with them. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
hmm But any other football subjects you want to talk about, or?
I mean, nah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then so we'll talk about some baseball. So like the Phillies, everybody's in spring training right now. So are you ready for baseball season?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really much of a big baseball fan until a couple of like years ago, but I do think like it's going to be an exciting season. I liked watching them last season.
hmm
Feel like they could definitely. I mean, one of our teams has to win something.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
And
yeah. So I feel like we got a bunch of really talented players, and we should definitely win world championship this year.
yeah, and then I got this question asked from Bobby Clark in the last episode. He asked me if the Braves, if we could overtake the Braves in the division this year. If you think that's possible?
I mean, like, we're the Braves' weakness almost. Because I saw whenever like they played the Braves, I mean they usually dominated,
hmm
and I mean I don't really know how all the divisions and stuff work in the MLB, but yeah, I feel like they definitely have a shot.
Yeah, because I feel like the Phillies being in the NL East, their only real competition is the Braves because the Mets, they're in not the best position right now. They're between trying to win and trying to lose. They're in mediocrity right now. The Marlins, I feel like they could start going back to their losing ways because they have no identity in that team. They have no real like their roster makes no sense. And the Nationals, they're still a rebuilding team. So I feel like the Phillies, as long if they can see if they could actually compete with the Braves, they could win this division. So,
Yeah, yeah, I definitely see that.
definitely. Anything else you want to talk about for baseball or anything like that, or
I kind of like the idea of Shohei Otani on the Dodgers. I feel
yeah,
like that's just gonna be crazy to see. And didn't
definitely.
they sign that didn't they sign that other Japanese pitcher?
Yeah, Yadamoto.
Young, yeah. I feel like that's just gonna be a crazy fun team to watch.
Yeah, and you know what's the crazy part about that? The Phillies offered more money than the Dodgers did for Yonemoto, but he wanted to go to the Dodgers because of Shohei Ohtani, which that's just a scary combination because if Shohei could come back to pitch possibly, they could have a rotation of him, Yonemoto, Tyler Glasnow, Walker Bueller, and then if Clayton Kershaw is still around, that's a deadly pitching rotation right there.
Ooh, yeah, that's a handful. So
hmm
I'm hoping it's not like I mean it's a different sport, but I'm hoping it's not like Aaron Rodgers because everyone had high hopes for him and thought he was going to perform and he was going to lead the Jets on a crazy run, and then got injured immediately. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping Shohei stays healthy and he actually can perform really good on this team.
Yeah, because I feel like him and that bat. Because for now he's just going to be hitting because he's coming off that Tommy John surgery and he's won't be pitching for a while.
Yeah,
Him and that batting lineup with Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts. It's not like he's back with the Angels and only has Mike Trout. He has other guys around him where if he's having an off day or an off week, those other players could pick it up, and that lineup could be on fire.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he was on a team that like had some talent, but like now he's surrounded by a team that could actually like get somewhere.
Hmm. Definitely. Any other subjects you want to talk about or anything about that?
For baseball, I'm good.
Yeah. And then you want to talk about a little bit of basketball? So,
Yeah, I'm really like looking forward to Embiid coming back. I feel
yeah.
like that whole injury really messed him up. I feel bad because he was on an MVP run in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this season for him, I felt like this season felt even more dominant than last year because he was just when he was fully healthy, he was just able to dominate everybody. There was nobody that could really stop him.
yeah. I mean that 70-point game was like ridiculous. He was just showing out and dominating everywhere.
Yeah,
And I feel like just that whole injury just was really disappointing. And he said he admitted that he like pushed himself, and I kind of feel bad for him.
yeah, definitely. And you see how it's affecting the Sixers as a whole because like it's not like you're just taking out any role player. You're taking out the superstar. You're taking out the pretty much the embodiment of this team. You're just taking them out of the equation, and that completely changed is how you play and how teams game plan for you. And you've seen it. Maxi, he's tried his best to carry the load, but then guys like Tobias Harris, who I'm sick and tired of, he just can't produce. He's just like this. I don't know if you saw during the summer the jokes they made with the crumble cookies and stuff like that, and now they're starting them up again because he's just been a complete liability. There's been rookies outplaying him, and it's just shown over and over again that he can't be a star in a championship winning team.
Yeah, I feel like I mean I've heard everyone talk about how like hopeless our team is without Embiid, and
Hmm.
yeah, I remember I was writing the script for our CNN, and they're only 7-17 without Embiid,
Yeah.
and that's just crazy to me how they just are getting nowhere without him. I mean, I saw Maxi got like a 30-point game the other day, and they still didn't even win that game. It's just like they try to do things, but they just can't do it well together without him.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like he's doing his best. He's being that he's gone from being the third option last year when we had Harden, now to the second option with Embiid, and now every role he's taken on, he's succeeded with. And I just like, but then getting Buddy healed, hopefully that helps when Embiid comes back because I feel when Embiid's in this lineup, he's able to speak these three and D shooters like Buddy Hield, Batum, all these guys who are able to shoot threes and like space the floor. With him being like so big, he's able to facilitate well and get these guys in positions that will work for them. So, and the hope is they said that he could come back at possibly the end of March. Hopefully, the Sixers are still in that top six category because I think if they fall out of the top six and fall into the play-in, and B is going to try his best to win in the play-in, but not have no effort or no like stamina left for the playoffs itself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like if they can really like rally up and like hold their spot at like at least at 6 and hopefully maybe even move up more. If they can hold that spot and Embiid comes back healthy, I feel like he can bang them into a good spot into the playoffs and maybe even get further. I'm hoping.
Yeah, because the real story is how many more years are you going to have it Embiid if you continue to lose in the second round, second round, second round? And the story has been year after year, Embiid's health the question, except the 1 year, obviously, with the Kawhi shot. But other than that, it's been Embiid's health year after year. And it's been to a point, it's like, is it Embiid's fault or is it the team around him? And it's just so tough to determine.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need him as a player, but I feel like the team should get to a point where they have other players they can rely on and
Hmm.
not just solely focus on him and his health. So I feel like we need to get another player or two that like are skilled enough and consistent enough that they can lead us to win games with Embiid,
Yeah.
not just without him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because here's the difference between a winning team and a championship team. A winning team is what you see right now. The Sixers aren't winning games, but Maxey is able to be the player, the number one option, but it's not been benefiting the other players. A championship team is when that star player, like when the Nuggets, If Jokic wasn't having the best game, another guy was able to step it up, and Jokic was still able to make his impact with the facilitating, him getting rebounds. You had games where he wasn't the leading scorer. You had Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Aaron Gordon. You had Bruce Brown off the bench, Christian Brown, the rookie. All these guys were able to make impact for the Nuggets last year. That's why they won the championship. And I feel like if the Sixers were able to find that way, like if Tobias Harris was able to start producing and Maxi, like he could still have that, he could still be the number one option, but not have to like be the entire offense where it doesn't benefit everybody else. That's the difference between a winning team and a championship team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. They just need to find they just need their guys to like be able to produce and just like I probably have better chemistry together. I
Hmm.
mean, a couple of them have been playing together for years, but like they just got to find like a consistent way of scoring and defending and just winning the games in general.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Any other topics you want to talk about for basketball, or?
Man,
Mhm. So we'll just talk about a little bit of hockey. We'll mention the Flyers, I guess, a little bit. So I don't know if you've been seeing, they've been winning a lot, and it's definitely good for this young team as a whole. So I'm just going to ask you this question. What do you think if the Flyers end up making the playoffs? How far could you see them going with this young team?
I mean, a young team always means like there's a little nervousness or maybe like I mean, they're unfamiliar in that kind of territory in that place. So it could always lead to losing, but I mean, if we can get like a dominant run going and make it somewhere, I feel like we could go all the way, maybe win the Stanley Cup. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd definitely be cool because it just for right now it's gonna help these players so much who are young to have this winning mentality, this winning culture, so they can carry it on and pass it down to these players who still have to come. Like they have Mitch Koff, the guy they drafted last year, he still is coming over in a couple years. If they are winning games and are consistently in the playoffs, that's only gonna help him when he comes over because then he's gonna be able to come over and dominate for a winning team. So.
Yeah, I mean, if these young guys can win it, then maybe it can get a dynasty going. We can have a couple years.
Hopefully, that's the goal. But yeah, and then but the like you had like I feel like the thing with the Flyers is they have a good mix of veteran and young guys that just mesh so well together that it's turning into this winning culture. And then the coach they have with John Tortorella, it just fits the way he wants to coach because these players respect him. They listen to what he has to say, and it's just been working with these guys like Owen Tippin, Tyson Forrester. They've had some amazing goals this season, and they could be future like superstars on this team.
Yeah, they definitely could.
Hmm. But any other things you want to talk about for any sport? Anything else you really want to mention?
No, I think I'm all good.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for coming on, Tom. It's a good conversation we had here, and hopefully have you on again. But that's gonna wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks again for Tom for coming on. And other than that, have a good day. See you later.